Hello everyone and welcome to my hobby home. My name is Cathy. Thank you so much for joining me today. What I am doing here, or rather, welcome to our Smash the Stash Sew Along Saturday. We are working on the Jelly Roll Irish chain. I am pinning my rows together right now to get my first rows assembled. And let's see, is there anything else? I don't have to have the pattern right now, so I don't have it out. But I am just pinning my rows. I do have my seams where they alternate, so they will nest real easy. So that'll make these two rows come together really nicely. Oops, and it looks like I've got the same exact. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm trying not to get two of the same together, but I do right here in the very first row. That is going to be okay. Not going to worry over it. We are just nesting these seams, and before you know it, I don't think this will be the last sew along session that we have with this. So, because I only do about an hour of it each week, and so it's kind of drawn out since I only do about an hour each week. I did press my rows, off camera. So, we do have to add that time in, but it really isn't a lot of time if you figure out how to press. I just laid all of mine down at the same time, pressed them all the same direction, and flipped the rows. Because that way there's no particular direction for these. As long as you have the row that starts with a 9 patch and ends with a 9 patch, that's your very first row. That's the only thing that really has to be set in stone, is which row, like row A or row B. Row A being your top row and row B being your second row. So A is going to be odd and B is going to be even. So now that I have all of my seams nested, I'm going to find the end and just get started here. Going to even out my edges there, and we're doing this on 1/4 of an inch. I think I have my pressing table a little too close over here because I feel like I'm too far over. We come into that first seam there. And what we will do is just keep sewing our rows like this. And until we are done. I think we will have 5 sets of rows maybe. I think we'll have 5 sets of row and 1 spare. Because we start with a 9 patch row and we end with a 9 patch row. And that the last row is going to be, like I said, a spare row. It's not going to have a matching row to go with it. I am hoping to be able to get some finishings done. Maybe not finishings as in plural, but finishing done this week. I'm trying to focus on that. Trying to focus on getting one thing done. And if I did get a finishing done, you probably saw it yesterday. At the time of this recording, I do not have a finishing done yet. But it is definitely in the plans. My biggest problem with finishings, the binding, is that I have to trim my quilt after it's been long gone. That just takes me so long to do. Not that it's hard to do, it's just I have such a small area and it just presents a challenge for me to get it all on my area so I can do that. But we're hoping to make quick work of this, the assembling of the rows, you know, putting the rows together. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to get all of them done tonight or today. Y'all will be seeing this in the morning time when you see it. But it's evening time for me right now, so... Okay, next thing, I'm just going to grab another piece here. I'm going to flip this piece this direction because I want my seams to be going downward. And in the direction I had it wasn't going downward. My seams were going upward. So that way I don't have to worry about a seam going upward as I'm piecing it together, you know, putting the two rows together. So guys, I hope y'all have had a fabulous week. Still remains to be seen here. It is still early in the week as I'm recording this. I'm still struggling with this head cold stuff. I can't seem to shake it. But I'm not the only one with it. We have a lot of people with it right now. I guess it's just the temperature changes. It's like 50 in the morning and 90 by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just such a big temperature difference. And y'all, I noticed just a little bit earlier that there is another tropical storm or something brewing in the Gulf. I don't know if it's going to hit us or not. I didn't even pay attention to when. But it looks like it's coming straight up the state, even going to like Missouri. Not Missouri, Memphis. So I will have to watch that a little later on to see more details about it, because I didn't pay attention to it when I came in. I just sit down and grabbed a bite to eat, and I saw that, and I was like, Lordy be. We're just going to have us some rough weather again, I guess. But it is, you know, it is hurricane season, and it's just expected. Some of these seams are giving me difficulties here. We're going to see how much we can get done in an hour tonight. I'm hoping I can at least get 3 sets of rows together. Because once I get these put together, I will press them. Once I take them off my machine, I will press them. I'm not going to wait until I have a whole quilt to put together to try to press that. That is just way too difficult. But so far, so good. I mean, we're doing pretty good time because all we're doing is pinning and putting rows together. I do need to make some labels sometime this week, so I will probably pull out my embroidery module and figure that out. I haven't done labels in a really long time, and, well, let's face it, I haven't done a lot of embroidery in a really long time, and I've done very little on this machine, so I'm not real familiar with the embroidery module on this machine, so I have to learn it. Yeah, I'm so happy this week that I feel a little better and that I can be in my sewing room. I am going to tell you, last week just did me in. I just do not like having days on days on days where I'm not able to get in my sewing room. I mean, this is my sanity. Some days it is. Some days it is my sanity. And no, my job is not hard. My job is, it's just life in general, you know. And I don't know about most people, but I have too many things going in my head, and when I sew, it's like it quiets down. I think too much. I think about too many things, and when I'm sewing, there's not as much thinking. And I like it when my mind is at ease and at rest. I try to put it in a restful state a lot. Okay, row 2 down. So here we go with row 3. Okay, guys, we are 20 minutes in and already on our third set of rows. So this is actually pretty good. It doesn't take me very long to pin the rows together, so it moves pretty quickly. And actually sewing the rows doesn't take too much time either. It's just getting that pin out before I hit it with my needle, y'all. I misjudge sometimes the length of a stitch and will run right over that needle. But I have a new needle. I run over the pin, not the needle. I have a new needle in my machine right now. I did complete service on this before I sit down, new needle. Bobbin is checked. Machine is clean. I try to do that every time I sit down to it. I don't always put a new needle in. But I've been having a lot of trouble with my thread breaking. So I don't know if it's my needle or the thread. I think it's the thread because I have seen a lot of people state they're having trouble with this same brand of thread, and I'm wondering if there was just a bad batch of thread. I mean, it can happen. I mean, you know, that's why there's a lemon law. You can get a bad car. We call those Friday cars. They started them on Friday and didn't want to have it left over on the weekend, so they just threw it together. Now everything's automated and done by machines, so making sure my edges are even there. Now we are swooping right on through this, getting these rows done. This is, I think I said, my third set of rows, which means I should only have 2 more sets of rows. But after I get the 5 sets of rows done, I will be pressing those. Okay, y'all. Man, look at that piling up there. That's a nice pile to see. I just about want to sing, but I'm not going to do that to y'all. Would not do that to y'all. I'm old school. I would probably sing, you know, some old 80s hits or something like that. Yes, I am a Gen Xer. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on YouTube and stuff about Gen Xers. Well, yes, I am a Gen Xer. And yes, everything they say about us is true. We pretty much raised ourselves. We had a key on a piece of yarn tied around our neck. When we got off the school bus, we let ourselves in. We did homework and chores before we could go outside to play. But once we got homework and chores done, we were outside until we couldn't see our hand in front of our face. And then Mama would flash the porch light off and on. And when we saw a flashing light, we knew it was time to come in. And I lived in the country. And we didn't have these outside lights, street lights that they got now. We had a porch light and we had the sunshine. Sometimes we had the moon. If the moon was bright enough, we could still stay outside and play. And my goodness, all the things we did as kids. And now, that's probably why we don't let our kids do much anything, because we're just lucky we survived. We drank water out the water hose and prayed there was no snake at the thing. At the water faucet where we cut the water on. Now we are on row number 4. See if we can get all of this to line up. So it looks like the assembling of the rows is going to be pretty quick like. I mean, it really is just a straight stitch, you know, nothing major. But talking about labels earlier, I do want to make some labels, and I have an embroidery project that I do want to do. So I may just break out my embroidery module and figure out how to do the labels and then do that embroidery project as well. And some of these blocks I did not trim. So when you make it, make sure to trim your blocks if you decide to make this quilt, because I have some blocks here that I think are bigger than the others, and I'm trying to line them all up. And it's not working very well. And I did trim like the last half of the blocks because, I mean, it kind of dawned on me I didn't trim them. So here I am now trying to make all of it work out. Because I have some that's a little bit longer than others, you know, and so I know it's not going to be perfect, but I'm not perfect. My quilts are not perfect, and that is perfectly fine. I have no delusions of this being a perfect quilt, so. And I even know that some of these, I'm going to have to check them to make sure the edges weren't too short, that it caught all the edges. Okay, now we are on our last set of rows. And then I will press these out. And at the rate this is going, it is very possible I could get them all put together tonight. But I'm probably not going to, though. I am probably going to stop right before I assemble all of them together, because it looks like we're about 40 minutes in right now. Or who knows, I may sew over my hour tonight and just get it done. And I know I'm not talking a lot tonight, guys. I am giving my throat a break, a rest right now, because it is still not 100%. So I'm just giving it a little rest, a little bit of rest. And the day that y'all are watching this, Saturday, I am actually probably going to be at our local zoo, because they have what they call Boo at the Zoo, and I'm going to have my granddaughter. And my daughter said that her and her son would come too and go to Boo at the Zoo. So I'm going to have both of my grandbabies for Boo at the Zoo. It's the hot air balloon thing also that day. So I think I'm not going to take her to the hot air balloon thing. We are probably just going to do Boo at the Zoo. Now, I do know there is a hockey game, an ice hockey game that night. So I don't think I'm going to try to take her to that either. But when my husband comes in, though, the plan is we're going to try to catch a hockey game. Because it's so funny, when the team was here the first time, he was married and I was married, just not to each other. And it is so funny that he and his first wife apparently had season tickets. And where I worked, I was able to get tickets for every home game for like little of nothing. So we were always at the home games. Y'all, that's all 5 rows put together. And I told him, I said, it's so surprising that somehow we did not run into one another. But I told you, it's not in our timing. It's in somebody else's timing. And I was probably pregnant with my middle child. But I really want to go to a hockey game. I love watching ice hockey. Now, of course, our team is a new team again, so I don't know how good or bad they are. So right now we have this one spare row. I'm going to lay it out of the way. I'm going to pull these over here and press them out, and we'll be right back. Okay, I have my first panel pressed. So what I am going to do, I'm going to call this my last panel, and go ahead and sew this row on. I'm going to go ahead and pin it on, see which way my seams are going to make sure I'm going the right direction. And that way I'll have all of my rows attached to another row. And that way I don't have anything loose hanging out there. And plus, this will give me enough time to, run our video here And once I get this one put on, what we'll do, we'll just call it the end, and we'll come back together and go on and piece it together, or I may go on and finish assembling it as I edit. And if that's the case, y'all will see it Monday in my completed quilt top, one of my completed projects. It won't be a finish, but it will be a completed top. But I'm so excited to get a finish this week too. I think once I get started doing my finishes, that it'll start getting easier and less cumbersome to do it. The main thing is I just don't like to trim my quilts, and I don't know why, because the one I need to do, I have the binding already done and rolled up, ready to go. So I need to just go on and trim that quilt and bind it. Some of my seams did not nest real good. I had one that I don't know what happened to it. It was off bad. Not extremely bad. But to me, it didn't nest right, so it was extremely bad. I like them to match up and, be all neat and pretty, but it wasn't, and that's okay. It is okay. The world is not going to end because my quilt seams did not match up. It won't end. And nobody will notice it. Unless I put it in a quilt show. And I'm not putting this one in a quilt show. And y'all, October is almost over. It. This year seems like it has just flown by. I mean, it is unreal at how fast this year has gone. I'm trying to get my needle down into that seam before I take my pin out. Because I want to make sure I take the time to nest the seams. I want to try to make sure to get it in there. Right. Okay, guys, so I have all of my rows are in a row assembly set. So they're all pieced to another row. So, guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. We are right at an hour right now, so I'm going to end it here. Next weekend, we will be assembling the whole quilt together if I don't do it before then. And but I hope you come and see me, because if I have it done, I'm probably going to be quilting it and binding it. So y'all come back If you have not yet, please give me a thumbs up. It does help my channel grow. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I do try to respond to each and every comment personally. And as always, until I see you again, I hope you have a very blessed day. Goodbye.